Sometimes, life doesn't say no. It just says wait. And that's exactly what Vihaan learned, not through success, but through a small seed that changed his life forever. There was a young man named Vihaan. Vihaan was always in a hurry. He believed that life was a race, and only those who ran fastest would win. He wanted everything at once: success, recognition, peace. Every time something didn't go his way, he'd clench his fists in frustration. Why does everything take so long? He'd ask himself. He wanted shortcuts to success, instant growth, instant happiness. But destiny had other plans. It wanted to teach him the beauty of waiting. One lazy afternoon, Vihaan's grandfather came to visit. He was old, calm, and carried wisdom in his smile. He brought with him a small clay pot and a few seeds wrapped in a paper towel. "What's this, Dadu?" Vihaan asked. His grandfather smiled. "It's a gift. Grow this plant, and you'll learn something even schools can't teach." Vihaan chuckled. "A plant? I don't have time for gardening, Dadu." His grandfather looked at him kindly and said, "Then maybe you'll never learn patience, my boy." Half-heartedly, Vihaan planted the seeds. He watered them for 2 days, 3 days, but when nothing happened, he gave up. "See? Waste of time," he muttered, and left the pot on the balcony. Days turned into weeks. The soil dried, the pot cracked, and the seeds slept in silence. One evening, Vihaan's mother told him that his grandfather was in the hospital. He rushed there. The once strong man now looked weak, but his eyes still carried peace. Before leaving, his grandfather held Vihaan's hand and whispered, "Take care of the plant. It will take care of you." Those were the last words he said to him. That night, Vihaan sat near the balcony, staring at the forgotten pot. Dust covered it. Cracks ran along the edges. He touched the dry soil and whispered, "I'm sorry, Dadu." He watered it again, not for results, but for remembrance. Every morning, he'd sit quietly by the window, watching the soil. Days passed, and though nothing sprouted, something inside him began to grow calmness. Then one morning, after nearly a month, Vihaan noticed a tiny green sprout pushing through the soil. He froze and then smiled wider than he had in months. It was small, fragile, almost invisible but alive. That tiny life became his biggest teacher. He cared for it every day. Some days it grew fast, some days not at all. But Vihaan no longer rushed. He had stopped asking, "When will it grow?" Instead, he started saying, "I'll be here when it does." Months turned into seasons. The little sprout became a tall, green plant. Vihaan began to see life differently. He stopped chasing quick results in his career. He started enjoying the process, the small steps, the quiet progress. The same patience that helped his plant grow was now shaping his destiny. He realized that patience isn't about waiting quietly. It's about trusting that what you're doing will one day bear fruit. A year later, on the anniversary of his grandfather's passing, something magical happened. When Vihaan went to water his plant that morning, he saw a white flower blooming soft, pure, and full of light. Tears filled his eyes. He touched the petals gently and whispered, "You were right, Dadu. Patience really does change everything." That day, Vihaan didn't just see a flower, he saw the result of every day he chose not to give up, every time he waited, every time he believed, silently. His destiny hadn't changed when the flower bloomed, it had changed the day he decided to wait. Years later, Vihaan opened a small community garden in memory of his grandfather. He called it Seeds of Patience. Every weekend, he invited children to plant seeds and care for them. He taught them what his grandfather had taught him, that growth takes time, and time builds strength. He often told them, if you can care for a seed every day without seeing results, you can handle anything life throws at you. The same impatient boy who once gave up after 3 days was now teaching others to believe in the slow magic of life. Sometimes, life doesn't reward those who rush it, rewards those who wait, who trust, and who never stop watering their dreams. Patience isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing what you can and trusting time to do the rest. Just like that seed, every dream you plant inside your heart will bloom when it's ready, not when you want it to. Patience isn't the absence of movement. It's the art of growing quietly. And as Vihaan stood by his blooming garden, he finally understood patience didn't just change his destiny, it became his destiny.